Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight to learn about the very important topic of estate planning. My name is Mark Stirneman. I'm the Vice President of Net Law. So tonight we're going to talk about what is estate planning and why we need it and what happens if we don't have it, right? So we're going to talk about all of that in about a 15-minute presentation. And then if you have any questions, I'll turn it over to you all and ask any questions that you want, right? That's what we're really here for. So let me share my screen and I will show you the presentation here and just follow along. And if you have any questions, put it in the chat bar and we can answer that or jot it down on a piece of paper so you don't forget it. But here's the reason that we do estate planning on this screen, and it's family, right? We want to make sure that everything that we have now or anything that we have in the future, we want to make sure that when we pass away, that those assets get distributed to our beneficiaries right away without the hassle of probate court. We want to make sure that it's passed in the most cost-effective and time-effective way. So I think the first question that we need to answer is, well, Mark, what is Net Law? Net Law is a document creation company. We're an IT company that was created out of an estate planning law office called the Hargrove Firm in Louisville, Kentucky. And the reason that our law office created Net Law was because back in 2012, we read in a Bloomberg report that said that over 60% of Americans do not have a will. That number is even a little bit higher today. But when we read that, it was very concerning because, we're in estate planning. So why is it that 6 out of 10 people are procrastinating on coming in to see us? And we did our research and found out that there were two main reasons. There's cost, and then nobody wanted to go see an attorney. So we went out and we hired attorneys in all 50 states to help us create our software. So instead of going in and seeing an attorney, you can actually use this software to create your state-specific legal documents. So no matter where you are now or wherever you move to in the future, you can use this software to create your estate planning documents. And the reason that we needed to go out and hire attorneys in every state is because all 50 states have different rules and regulations that have to be followed, right? So you need to have a software where when you put in your address of where you live, it's going to pull up that state's legal documents. One of the biggest things I always get asked is, why should I use Net Law? And one of the biggest reasons is we won the James Keene Award from the American Bar Association. And this award is given out each year to the company that has the best online delivery of legal documents. And I'll say that again. The best online delivery of legal documents. That's from the American Bar Association. And still today, we are the only ones in estate planning to ever win this award. And these are all the documents that come in your full premium probate avoidance package. And we'll run through these just to talk about why they're so important. As you read down the list, I think most people have heard of most of these documents, but let's start with the will. There's 3 reasons why we do a will. We're going to name executors, people who are going to be in charge when they pass away, right? Who's going to handle everything when you pass away? You get to name a main person and you get to name alternate people as well. I always get the question, can I name someone from overseas to be my executor? You can, but as long as you at least name one of your backups from someone from your state, because there's always going to be something that has to happen right away. And you need to have someone local that can go to different places, grab different documents on behalf of the main executor. Number 2 is your guardians. If you are a parent of an underage child or children, we need to make sure that if something happens to mom and dad, who's going to take care of the kids, right? And then the third one is specific bequests, where we can list all of our assets and who those beneficiaries are. So those 3 reasons, executors, guardians, and we're going to list all of our assets and who those beneficiaries are why we do our will. Children's trust is the second line item, and that's for those parents that have underage children. This is where you can dictate how much of the inheritance that you're leaving behind for that child and how much they will receive of it at a certain age. So you can actually divvy out their inheritance, a little here, a little there, a little there. And you can string their inheritance out all the way out to age 35 so they don't receive a large lump sum at age 18. So parents love that option. Durable financial power of attorney is where we name someone to make our financial decisions if we can't do so for ourselves, whether we're sick, we're in the hospital. Your power of attorney can come in and make all of your financial decisions for you with your blessing. And and the reason that they're doing that is for them to look after your best interest. The next three documents are healthcare documents. Your healthcare surrogate is your medical POA. Who is going to speak to the doctors and nurses on your behalf? Who's going to let them know what you want to happen and what you don't want to happen? That's your healthcare surrogate. And your HIPAA authorization grants that person access to see all of the medical charts. And your advance directives are your end of life decisions. What do you want to happen at end of life? Do you want to be hooked up to a machine, or do you just want to pass naturally? Most people just want to pass naturally, right? But if you want that option of being kept alive, you can take that as well. We even have a pet trust. So if you're a pet lover, you can leave money behind for the well-being of that animal, so it doesn't become a financial burden for the person who takes ownership of your pet. And the last document is your revocable living trust. This is a probate avoidance trust only. And this is a trust where you can actually designate or transfer ownership of your major properties that do not have a named beneficiary, like your house, cars, rental properties, businesses. You can transfer those assets out of your individual name and into the ownership of the trust. That way the trust owns these assets. And when you pass away, those assets do not go to probate court. They get passed to your beneficiaries right away. So let's talk about why that's so important, because probate court is where if you don't have a trust when you pass away, all of your assets are frozen by the government that do not have a named beneficiary. Again, those items that I named. And when the government comes in and freezes your assets, they usually freeze it for a time period of anywhere from 6 months to a year. And that allows time for creditors to come in and file a claim on your estate. They have to be paid off first before any of the assets get distributed to your beneficiaries. But if you transfer those assets out of your name and into the name of the trust, when you pass away, all of those assets avoid probate and get passed to your beneficiaries right away. That's why the will and trust is so important. And we always have a 7-day money-back guarantee. One plan covers both spouses. So both spouses get to create their full set of documents with the purchase of one plan. And this package goes for $600 at net law. And it also includes the ability to go in and not only create your documents, but edit them anytime there's a life event that happens. Most companies charge $10 to $30 a month to keep your account open and active. We don't charge anything. Once you pay the one-time fee, you have full lifetime access to create your documents or edit your documents at any time. So why is estate planning so important? So we just went through all of the documents and why they're so important. Making sure that you have all of these documents in place is very important. And you even have the ability to go back and edit them free of charge. Just remember, anytime you create or edit any of your documents, you have to print them out and get them witnessed and notarized. But why is estate planning so important? Well, the next 4 slides that I'm going to show you, and these are the last 4, I think are probably the most educational of anything that I'm going to talk about. Because this is really getting down to the, well, what happens if something happens to me and I didn't do my will and trust? What are the ramifications? Most people don't realize that if you own an asset as an individual, or when a joint asset is owned by both spouses and the second spouse passes away, it just automatically doesn't go to your family. The only legal term I'll use today is intestate, and that means you passed away without a will. And the government will come in and say, hey, you didn't create a will. You didn't list how you wanted your assets distributed. So we're going to do it for you. And that's what intestate is. Intestate is where the government comes in and dictates how your assets and who your assets are going to be distributed to. So to make sure that everything that we have goes to the right individuals, you need to create that will, list all of your assets and who those beneficiaries are. Even more importantly, if you have underage children, you need to do your will so you can list guardians. What most people don't realize is if you and your spouse pass away and there are children under the age of 18, a judge will dictate who gets custody of your kids, a judge. Now, no one wants that, right? We know who's best to raise our kids. We know who we want to raise our kids. Why would we leave it up to a judge to decide that? Making sure that the protection of our kids, that's always job number one as a parent, right? This is one of the ways that we do it. And we always want to keep our beneficiaries out of probate court. Probate court is expensive. If you fight it, you have to go to court. You have to hire an attorney. It's expensive. It's time consuming. But by creating that trust and transferring those assets into the ownership of the trust, and that may scare people because, oh, hold on, I don't own this property. Of course you do. You're the trustee of your account for as long as you're alive. So you don't lose any authority or anything. You are still the decision maker of everything. It's just that those assets now are owned by a trust, which is private information, and that's what allows it to avoid probate. And don't skip out on the medical documents. These are just as important as your financial documents. Having all of your decisions for medical care decided now while you're young, while you're healthy, instead of waiting till it's too late and we're laying in a hospital bed where families can start fighting over the care that they think that you want. So this was a small presentation of what net law is, how we can help you create your documents, and why you need each one of these documents. It's a full protection package that includes all of your financial and medical documents that you need to have a secure and comprehensive estate plan in place. I'll stop here, and Ram, I will turn it back over to you. And if there's any questions that anyone has, I would love to go ahead and answer those now. So just let me know what questions you have.
Questions will, yeah, feel free to ask questions in the chat box or can ask directly.
Yeah.
So, Mark, at high level, can you give overall process like, starting to end,
Well, starting to end, your agent will send you a link
Uh-huh.
and you will go into the net law system. You will create all of your documents. You will print them out, get them witnessed and notarized. Then you will transfer your major assets that you want inside your trust. And we have a funding instruction sheet that walks you through how to do that. It's really easy. And you're done. It's really that easy. The whole process of creating both spouses' documents just through the software takes about 30 to 45 minutes. And then you would just set appointments with the county clerk's office to make sure that the deed to your house gets transferred out of your name and into the name of the trust so that you can fund all of your properties. So everything can be accomplished in one day very easily. And that's it. Everyone thinks estate planning is complicated, and sometimes it can be. But for 90% of us, it's very, very easy to do.
Yeah.
So in filing, like in the county, do you need a special form, specific to the county, or is it like anything does NETLA provide that also?
Yeah, so no. So what you would do to transfer the property into the trust is usually you will take the certificate of trust document that you create with us and a copy of the deed. You have a deed to your house right now that shows ownership. You can take both of those items down to the county clerk's office. Just let them know that you want to put the property in the name of the trust. They will rip up your deed. They will create a new quitclaim deed in the name of your trust. And that's all that has to happen. I did mine not too long ago, and it was about $99. It was very, very inexpensive, and it took maybe 15 minutes. Now, having said that, call them before you go down there because some county clerk's office may want you to bring the quitclaim deed with you. You can just Google quick claim deed for your state and print it off. It's a free downloadable document, and then just take that in there with them. But call before you go, just to make sure that there's not any other documents that they want you to bring.
So no issues with lender in that scenario, Mark?
No, mortgage stays in your name. The mortgage is going to stay in your name. The only thing that we're transferring is the deed. The deed is what shows ownership.
What if you have a HELOC on your property? Can it be transferred to the trust?
Yeah, absolutely. So the you own the property, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, then you can just do a deed transfer into the name of the trust. Correct.
Mark, this is Prasad, and how often do we need to update or refile with the clerk? Let's say I have a primary home and sizable assets, and I bought like 2 other investment properties.
Mhm.
So do I have to update this will and living trust and resubmit it to the county?
I would, yeah. You would want to keep your documents as up to date as possible.
And what happens if, let's say I have all the other assets in this will and trust except for like one investment property. So only that property goes through the probate?
You're correct.
Okay.
How about business ownership, Mark? If you have, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. So, if you own a business, yeah, you're definitely going to want to put that in your will, right? So you can transfer that property over to your spouse or your kids or whoever's going to run the business after you're gone. If your business is in an LLC, you can transfer the LLC into your trust as well. And I have a video that I created with one of our attorneys that I can send. Ram, I can send it to you, or Srini, I can send it to you as well.
Yeah.
And you can share with the group.
Yeah.
So Mark, if we know it is easy to transfer under the trust the property which we live in or the
Mhm.
state we are in.
Yeah.
Let's say if I have out of state properties,
Mhm.
how can we try? How easy to transfer that?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You can just, I would start by calling the county clerk's office where the out-of-state property is.
Hmm.
And usually they can just mail you a new quick claim deed.
Is
Yeah,
that
you'll have to scan your trust in and a copy of the deed. They'll walk you through all of that. You just call them and they'll give you instructions.
got it?
Yeah. And if you need to, you can always use trusteddeeds.com,
Hmm.
unless you're in North Carolina. The only state they don't do is North Carolina.
Is there any preference for creating trust in a specific state or like Wyoming or something like that? Or
No, not for this. This is just a probate avoidance trust. This has no tax implications at all.
got it.
Yeah, this isn't like starting a business in Wyoming or a tax deferred state.
Got it. So how
Mark,
about
sorry,
like,
I missed the part with trustanddeeds.com. What was
Yeah,
that for?
yeah. If you don't want to do the deed service, the transferring of the deeds, you can go to that website and they'll do it for you. It's like $69, I think, 59, 69, something like that. But you still have to, once you get the deed back, you still have to go and record it with the county, your county.
Okay.
so
Yeah,
always
I usually tell people that with the people who have properties out of their own state, just easier to use them. And they're not affiliated with us at all.
Hi, I have a question. Can I ask you?
Sure.
If I have a property outside of the United States, the United country, then is it still possible to add it in the trust?
I would add it into the will, just to list that you have other properties. Now,
Mhm.
you can transfer that property into your U.S. trust. It's a little bit more difficult because you have to go to the country where the property lies, and you have to do the deed transfer over there. But even though the U.S. trust owns that property, you still have to follow the country's rules. So
Okay, yeah, I got it. I understood.
and you can do it however you want. I think what I've seen most people do is create a will and trust for their U.S. assets. and then a will for the other countries, for the assets that lie in that country.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
There is one question from Srujan in the chart.
Okay.
Do you need separate will and trust coupons for a family with special needs, one for the family and one for the special needs child?
You can you can use just the one account because that's going to cover husband and wife, but then you can purchase the special needs trust from inside your account. And then all of the documents will be stored under one account. I would suggest doing it that way. That way you don't have two logins and you forget one or something like that. So I would just get the voucher from the agents and then buy the special needs trust inside your account.
And how much is the special needs trust?
Yeah, it's $750.
Okay. And there is no special promotions or anything in that?
No, not really. I mean, if you're an agent, that's just a set price with net law.
Hmm.
Got it. So another question, like, which scenario we need to go for irrevocable trust when we need to go for revocable trust, Mark?
Yeah, so we only offer revocable. Irrevocable trust would come in with higher wealth clients, especially if you're a U.S. citizen and you are looking at an inheritance tax or a state tax coming in where your assets are in excess of 26 million. Or if you're a business owner, you could look at an irrevocable trust for like asset protection, keeping your personal assets separate from your business assets in case there's any bankruptcy, lawsuits, anything like that. That's where irrevocable trust would come in. But for most of us, a revocable trust will work well. But
Okay.
if you have any clients that have questions, just get with me and I can talk to the clients and let's figure it out. And then I can introduce them to an attorney in their state.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And do NetLaw will support asset protection as well?
We do not. We only do a probate avoidance trust.
Got it, sure.
Hey,
And
Mark. Yeah, go ahead.
so for special needs trust, do you take, different, the process, is it different?
No, the process is the same. You just buy it and you follow the prompts in the software to create it. Special needs trust only takes about 5 minutes to complete. It's really easy to complete, but it is a full document. Special needs trust is about 15 pages long.
Oh, okay.
And
And
what is the reason we need to go for special,
Yeah, if you have a special needs child who may be receiving federal funding from the government, like Medicaid,
mhm.
if let's say the parents pass away or the grandparents pass away and they want to leave an asset to the special needs child, well, you can't leave that asset to them in their direct name, their individual name, because that could affect their federal funding because they're receiving an asset that could be worth money, right? So they don't need federal funding if they're receiving all this money. But if they, grandma and grandpa, they pass away, they leave an asset to the special needs child, but via their special needs trust, they can still receive that asset and it doesn't affect their federal funding.
got it. Yep. Thank you.
Mhm.
So you mentioned, so the special needs trust is created for the special needs child, and the parents will have the normal, like will and trust account.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Got it. There's one more question from Sridhar. Can you please share the property deed service URL in this chart? Okay.
Here, I'll do it. Just the company that
Yep.
Do the deed transfers?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if I could spell, that would probably help. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Feel free to ask any questions. Otherwise, we can wind up the call in a few minutes, few seconds.
Thank you, Mark. If you would share that video, how the the business or transfer video, that will be
Yeah. I'll get Srini. I'll email you as soon as I jump off here.
sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome.
And also your information to contact you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, they both have all my contact information. So
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
yeah. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Bye now.